you have to do today is pick up that phone and speak the words that I have taught you. And I will make you richer than the most powerful CEO in the United States of America.
Hey guys, it's Mark at Magnetic, and today I'm going to be looking at The Wolf of Wall Street and watching a scene where Jordan Belfort is talking to his sales team and seeing how realistic this is and seeing what lessons we can learn from it, seeing what we can apply in real life. So let me have a look at the film and comment on it.
See those little black boxes? They're called telephones. I'm going to let you on a little secret about these telephones. They're not going to dial themselves, okay? Without you, they're just worthless hunks of plastic, like a loaded M16 without a trained Marine to pull the trigger. And in the case of the telephone, it's up to each and every one of you, my highly trained Stratonites.
Okay, I'm just gonna pause it here. What he's essentially doing is he is giving them a pep talk to really ramp everyone's motivation, their hunger, their energy. And this is actually a really useful thing. The larger your sales team is, the more you're gonna have to get involved with their motivation, especially if you have a leader in sales or someone who is motivational or influential in the organization. Sales teams are very emotional, right? They get rejected a lot. They have to deal with ups and downs. They have to have phones hung up on them. They're highly emotional teams. You're dealing with a lot of people who experience a lot of stress. So what he's doing is actually something that a lot of companies do, particularly in America. They have large sales teams. They will go out there and they'll motivate their sales team. They'll have a pep talk. So yeah, it's something that is possible. And even if you have a small sales team, you can still do this with 3 or 4 people. Maybe not as dramatic, but you could still have the conversation before they go out there and they go selling. And the thing that you've got to consider in a large sales team is that one day could mean a very, very big difference if they have a good day or a bad day. So what he's doing is he is really ramping up the motivation of his sales force, and he is theatrical about it. He's a master of influencing these people in his organization. He understands what drives them, the culture, and these people are eating it up, as you can see.
My killers who will not take no for an answer.
Okay, time out here. He's saying my killers who will not take no for an answer. He is aligning with them. It's like they're on the same team here. It's not like an us versus you, we just come to work, do our job and go home. They are like a pack. They're like a group of people who are in the same team. They're fighting the same war. So you can see the look on this guy's face here. He is there and he looks like a soldier and he looks like he's about to go to war. He's gonna go be sent to the front line by the general. He is part of that group, that tribe. So let me keep playing it.
Who will not hang up the phone until their client either buys or dies!
So you can see they've got the buy-in. He's got the buy-in. His team love him, by the way. And this is something that is really important in an organization. There's a lot of organizations out there where you get crickets. You talk to your team and no one cares. They turn up to their job. They don't really care what the boss has to say. In this organization, you may not like the culture. It is definitely a very ego-driven, greed-driven culture, but they're all aligned and they all absolutely respect their boss, their leader. In your organization, even if it's a different culture, if you can get this kind of morale in the team where the leader is really looked up to, then you will really do well in your business from a sales point of view, because the sales will drive the mood of the business. If you have low sales, everything's going to be damp. If you have high sales, you're going to have high energy. everyone's going to be pumped. So this is really a mood driver for the rest of the business and what's going to happen. So he is doing a really good job because for whatever reason, he has won the respect of his team and they are all within the culture that they operate in.
Let me tell you something. There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every time. Because at least as a rich man, when I have to face my problems, I show up in the back of a limo wearing a $2,000 suit and a $40,000 gold watch. Fat boys, duke it out!
All right, so he's got a good point here. Essentially, I say the same thing in a different way. You're gonna have problems in life anyway, right? You might as well have better quality problems. You might as well have more capability, more resources to deal with the problems in life that you have. Look, being rich doesn't remove your problems, it just changes them. You're still a human being. You still have to wake up. You still have health to worry about. You still have to pay for stuff. You still have people to manage. You still have goals and aspirations, and you still have barriers in your way. So someone who is poor and can't afford things are gonna have low-level problems, like what am I gonna eat today? Whereas someone who is wealthy will still have problems. They'll just have different problems, like how can I minimize this tax? So if you're gonna have a choice between the two, you're gonna have problems anyway. I say you might as well be rich. So I agree with him here. If you're gonna have issues anyway, you might as well arrive in the back of a limo. Yeah, that's cool. Definitely worth considering.
Fat boys, duke it out! Hit him! Hit him! Off of me!
By the way, if you have a $40,000 gold watch, don't throw it into a crowd, because if you're in Australia or a country with a lot of OH&S and safety, you're probably gonna hit someone and get sued. So yeah, but $40,000 watch, I bet if they catch it, even if it hurts them, they're not gonna care too much. Yeah, that's a funny bit.
Anyone here thinks I'm superficial or materialistic? Go get a job at McDonald's, because that's where you belong. But before you depart this room full of winners...
Okay, time out. Before you depart this room full of winners, he is already putting them in a role, right? He is priming them and he is categorizing them as winners. He is already giving them and assigning them a role. That is really, really important, because if you tell your team that they are losers, they will probably identify with it over time. If you keep telling them they can't do their job, they're horrible, they're lazy, eventually they will admit to and accept that role. Some people may not, but some people will start to believe it. What he's doing here is he is referring to the room as winners. So there's a whole psychology behind people won't focus on the thing that they need to do. They will first identify whether they are that thing. Like, are you someone who is fit? If you identify as someone who is fit, you will do the exercise. But if you're trying to do the exercise without thinking of yourself as an athlete, then you'll find it much more difficult to actually motivate yourself to do the thing that is hard, because getting fit is difficult, eating right is difficult, making sales is difficult, growing a business is difficult. So he's already priming them to think of themselves as champions. So he is actually doing a great job here, and I can see why they admire him as a leader. Although he went to jail, from a leadership point of view, not from an ethics point of view, but from a leadership point of view, his team admire him, they follow him, and that is what a leader is, someone that people follow. Now, you could be a drug dealer that people follow, or you could be someone that is ethical that people follow. That's your choice. But he has succeeded in gaining the confidence of his people in his leadership. So they're all watching him and they look like they're all loving it.
I want you to take a good look at the person next to you. Go on. Because sometime in the not so distant future, you're gonna be pulling up to a red light and you beat up old and that person's gonna be pulling up right alongside you in their brand new Porsche with their beautiful wife by their side who's got big voluptuous and who are you going to be sitting next to? Some disgusting wildebeest with 3 days of razor stubble and a sleeveless muumuu crammed in next to you and a carload full of groceries from the Price Club.
It's actually really interesting couple of points that he makes. The thing that he's doing is really effective from a real life business point of view if you have a team. Number one, he is using humor. And rather than sitting there for 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes or 60 minutes talking about some boring stuff versus injecting a whole load of humor into your speech, into your pep talk, that is a super engaging way to actually deal with your team and engage with your team. And they're liking it. They're all laughing. So he's absolutely nailed the culture of his organization. The other thing, it's something that we actually also have spoken about in our business, is he is giving them a comparison of what their future could be. He is getting them to future pace and go, in 1 year's time, in 10 years' time, he's using, I don't know what time frame he's using, but I have said this to our actual team, very similar in that you have an opportunity in this role right now. We are gonna grow and it's your choice whether you just wanna do your job and cruise. That's perfectly okay, but you will have people here that will go for it. And some of the guys that will go for it, or girls, or whoever it is, maybe they're not even here at the moment, but someone may come a few years later, see this opportunity and go for it and overtake you by miles. You're gonna have to be okay with the fact that they're earning 10 times more than you, and they're buying houses and they're buying cars and they're buying their Porsches or Lamborghinis or whatever, and you're gonna have to think about that now and decide now whether you're gonna go for it, because sometimes it takes a number of years to be able to build the foundation to be able to then get the success that you are looking for. But if you cruise now and then you see someone really winning, it's too late if you're trying to compete with those people. So you're gonna have to make peace that someone who may have started at the same time as you or after you is gonna do way better than you. And as long as you're cool with that, totally fine. The people who are not going to be cool with it are probably going to leave your organization. So he's actually doing a good job here, although he's doing it in a way that is more like 80s style or more movie style, where he is really probably most organizations right now would kind of cringe, especially with all the rules that are in place nowadays. But what he's essentially doing is he is future pacing and getting people to think about, what could I potentially miss if I don't do this, if I don't try my best? So I think he's doing a great job of actually motivating his team. There's a couple of really good things that he does in this clip.
So you listen to me and you listen well. Are you behind on your credit card bills? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing. Is your landlord ready to evict you? Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. Does your girlfriend think you're a worthless loser? Good. Pick up the phone and start dialing. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
Yeah, so this is again, a real valuable thing. He is using problem solution framework where he is telling them the problem that they have, so he knows the profile of his team. Some of them are behind on their payments, some of them have issues with money, right? He knows that. He knows what his team is made out of, and he is making them feel the pain, and that's totally fine, because he actually is trying to drive them to their goal, which in this case they are trading stocks and buying and selling. They're in an environment which is very financially driven. So a lot of the people who work in that kind of industry, their primary motivation is financial. So he understands their pain, their driver, and their goal, And he is absolutely making it an emotion that is very intense for them. This is actually how you motivate people and get them to get off their butt and do things. Because if you just said it in a very boring way that inspired no one, they'll just go back and do their job and do the minimum, right? But if you can ignite that fire and get them to feel, yeah, no, I don't want to be behind on my bills. I don't want to not be able to afford things. Yes, I do want to achieve this thing that I am looking forward to. He is amplifying their problem and he's amplifying their goals. You can see the energy in the room. They absolutely love it. It is very, very effective in this type of environment or in a lot of types of environments. Maybe you might have a business or a group of people who are nurses. They may not be money driven. They may want to help people who are sick. So if you use the formula in the same way, you could achieve the same result in a different environment with different goals. So actually, this is a really, really good clip. He's doing a lot of things that are really high level good, like psychological leadership. It's just that he broke a whole bunch of rules that landed him in jail, but he's got the confidence of his people, which is one of the most important things you absolutely need as a leader.
Just pick up that phone and speak the words that I have taught you, and I will make you richer than the most powerful CEO in the United States of America. I want you to go out there.
Yep, so he has created an opportunity, he has trained them, and he has outlined such a huge earning potential that is gonna be really hard to get outside of this type of environment. And I understand that we've got similar type of uncapped earning potential in our business where some of our people, particularly in sales, are making more than CEOs. It's because they're high performers in this field of sales. That is possible in the field of sales or anything where you have KPIs and remuneration that is based on how much work you can bring in and revenue you can generate. That is absolutely realistic and possible. And I actually worked with a guy who was from ING, the big financial institution. This was a long, long time ago. This is probably the first time I heard it. He said that if you're a good CEO, you've got to be comfortable with a sales team who earn more than you. And if you are in that position, you're doing a great job. If your salespeople are earning more than you as the CEO of the company, you're doing a great job as a CEO. So yeah, absolutely, a lot of good stuff here.
Out there. And I want you to ram Steve Madden stock down your clients' throats till they choke on it. Yeah. Till they choke on it and they buy 100,000 shares. That's what I want you to do. You be ferocious. You be relentless. You be telephone terrorist. Now let's knock this apart.
All right, so yeah, that bit there would have been easier in the 80s, maybe the 90s, and it's called hard sales, where you are very, very pushy and you basically have a product, and I call it a product push. Very, very pushy. Here's my product. Here's what you must buy because this is what I have. And he wants to push it down their throat. Unfortunately, I think that is unethical, but also ineffective, particularly nowadays, because now you've got the internet. Anyone can just look at anything, any information about a product, any pricing about a product. They can see what you're giving them, and it's different from the 80s where you didn't have that. You relied on your stockbroker to actually tell you what was going on with the stock. Now you can just go on Yahoo Finance or Google or whatever it is. For our team, we don't do that at all. In the sales area, we have what we call a demand pull, where we figure out what they actually want and we help them get what they want, rather than going, here's what I have, here's what you must buy, here's what you must swallow and shove down your throat. We don't do that. I don't think it's a good thing to do. I don't think it's effective either. If you can actually find what your customer really wants, and give it to them and they bought it because they wanted it and needed it, then they won't get the buyer's remorse, which probably has led to the Jordan Belfort going to jail, because people would have been unhappy if they lost money on those stocks and they would have made a lot of complaints and filed a lot of lawsuits against him. But in the real world, it still happens, but I don't think it happens anywhere near as much as back in those times in the 80s. I think people are learning to sell more ethically now, although there are still plenty of people who are very unethical. I think that with all the reviews that you've got on Google, with all the Facebook and social media, I think people are held more accountable if they try weird things. So yeah, I would prefer much more ethical way to sell, which is a demand pull. Give the customer what they actually need and what they're actually looking for. But overall, the video is really interesting because it probably is 90% realistic, and also not just realistic, but he actually employs a lot of high-level strategies that shows that he is a leader that people will follow. So yeah, it's a really cool clip. It's got some funny extreme bits, but there's a few lessons that can be learned here from a business point of view. So hope you like that reaction or review. I will be doing some reviews that will be pulling some lessons out of some videos, and look forward to see you next time.